This week we complete our discussion of the nature of ultimate reality with a look at the way in which this debate unfolded in the context of the Chinese tradition. The debate centers around the three interrelated concepts of Tian, Tao, and Taiji. Tian means heaven. It is the more abstract way of speaking of the first principle, which was preferred in China after the Zhou overthrew the oppressive Shang dynasty. The Shang had preferred the term Shangdi, or Lord on High. The revolution occurred around 1046 BC, and the Zhou instituted a range of social reforms, including the 9-field system, in which peasant villages cultivated 9 fields, 8 for themselves and 1 to support the state, guaranteeing both enough surplus extraction to support the human civilizational project, but also radically reducing the rate of exploitation. The emperor was understood to rule with the mandate of heaven, as long as he maintained a just social order and promoted the common good. He represented the way of heaven on earth. When he departed from this way, he lost the mandate and rebellion became licit. Tian is the central concept in the Confucian tradition, which emerged as the Zhou dynasty declined after 771 before the Common Era. The Confucians argued for a restoration of Zhou values, including the maintenance of correct, if hierarchical, relationships, in which superiors cared for and cultivated the capacity of inferiors at all levels of society, realizing the way of heaven and thus restoring cosmic and social harmony. The term Tao means way, originally in the sense of direction or guide. The term was taken up by the emerging Taoist school after the Zhou began to decline, in order to relativize the claims of the Confucian to know the Tao or way of heaven. Both Confucians and Taoists used the terms Tian and Tao, but while the Confucians taught that we can know the way, the Taoists insisted that any attempt to capture the Tao in words results in a profound distortion. They insisted that the Tao is eternally nameless and unnameable, though nonetheless very real. Practically speaking, the difference between the two doctrines is relatively straightforward. Where the Confucians counseled attention to studying the nature of things in order to discern the way, and to rituals which maintained hierarchical but nurturing relationships, the Taoists argued for a more intuitive sensitivity to the natural flow of things and were skeptical of both ritual and hierarchy. The metaphysical use of the term Taiji also derives from the Taoist tradition. The term means literally supreme or ultimate tent pole, and originally referred to the direction of the zenith. It was part of the Taoist language of orientation along the way. The term was, however, eventually appropriated by the Neo-Confucian or Daozhui school in the Song dynasty, and in particular Zhao Danyi, to work a synthesis of Confucian, Taoist, and Buddhist ideas. In his mysterious work, Taiji Tu Chuo, or Explanation of the Diagram of the Great Ultimate, he uses the term to refer to a principle which is above yin and yang, above the Tao, above heaven and earth. He brings these concepts into paradoxical relationship with each other. Here is that text in its totality. Don't expect to understand it, no one does, but let its paradoxical complexity open you to a new way of thinking about the nature of ultimate reality. The ultimate of non-being, and also the great ultimate through movement generates yang. When its activity reaches its limit, it becomes tranquil. Through tranquility, the great ultimate generates yin. When tranquility reaches its limit, activity begins again. So movement and tranquility alternate and become the root of each other, giving rise to the distinction of yin and yang, and the two nodes are thus established. By the transformation of yang and its union with yin, the 5 agents of water, fire, wood, metal, and earth arise. When these material forces are distributed in harmonious orders, the 4 seasons run their course. The 5 agents constitute one system of yin and yang constitute one great ultimate. The great ultimate is fundamentally the non-ultimate. The 5 agents arise, each with its specific nature. When the union of the ultimate of non-being and the essence of yin, yang, and the 5 agents come into mysterious union, integration ensues. Tian constitutes the male element, and Kun, earth, constitutes the female element. The interaction of these 2 material forces engenders and transforms the myriad things. The myriad things produce and reproduce, resulting in an upending transformation. It is man alone, humanity, who receives the 5 agents in their highest excellence, and therefore humanity is the most intelligent. His physical form appears and his spirit develops consciousness. The 5 moral principles of his nature, humanity, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and faithfulness, are aroused by and react to the external world and engage in activity. Good and evil are distinguished, and human affairs take place. The sage settles these affairs by the principles of the mean, correctness, humanity, and righteousness, for the way of the sage is none other than these 4, regarding tranquility as fundamental. Having no desire, there will therefore be tranquility. Thus he establishes himself as the ultimate standard for humanity. Hence the character of the sage is identical with that of heaven and earth. His brilliance is identical with that of the sun and the moon. His order is identical with that of the 4 seasons, and his good and evil fortunes are identical with those of spiritual beings. The superior human being cultivates these moral qualities and enjoys good fortune, whereas the inferior human being violates them and suffers evil fortune. Therefore it is said that yin and yang are established as the way of heaven, the weak and the strong as the way of earth, and humanity and righteousness as the way of humanity. It is said that if we investigate the cycle of things, we will understand the concepts of life and death. Great is the Book of Changes. Therein lies its excellence. Where do you stand? Do you think we can know the first principle, the way which governs the universe, or not? Is it better to maintain hierarchical but nurturing relationships and strong institutions which cultivate virtue and reinforce them with ritual, or to go with the flow? Or is a synthesis possible? And if so, what does that synthesis look like? I look forward to your reactions.